the Catholics always warned about is that the rational mind falls in love with its own productions, or even more, that it tries to elevate its productions to the status of God. And that's really what Milton was warning about, at least in some sense, in his book Paradise Lost. You know, these utopias are human creations, and then people fall prey to them. It's like idol worship. It really is very much like idol worship. And it's no wonder people get skeptical of the intellectuals, because they're producing these utopias that are fake, that they inhabit. They're almost like the abstract equivalent of video games, you know. So
I think you're right about that, but I also think there's something else going on. I think people are aware of this chaos that we described earlier, and they're terrified, and they're clinging to nonsense because of that terror, and they're embedding themselves in these fruitless pursuits, chasing their own tail.
Hey, I'm on board with that, man. That chasing your own tail, that's a symbol of chaos.
Yeah.
Chaos is the dragon that eats its own tail. So that came spontaneously to mind when you thought about that. It's because it's a downward spiral, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is that as you retreat from the chaos into your own little prison, you get weaker and weaker, and the prison gets smaller and smaller, and the chaos gets bigger and bigger. It's really an ugly pathway, and you get more and more bitter and resentful.
Yeah.
And much more afraid of having your prison walls breached. It's a downward spiral.
And much less interested in pursuing the truth or any sort of objective reasoning, and much more interested in confirmation bias to the extreme.
That's right. That's exactly what happens. I detailed out that process in my book, Maps of Meaning. Exactly that. It's this feedback loop, hey? Because the weaker you are, the thicker the walls have to be. But the thicker you make the walls, the less challenge you face, and the weaker you get. So then the walls have to get thicker, and then you get weaker, and the walls have to get thicker, and it's not a pretty picture, man. So yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah.
Because
and on that note, we just did 3 hours. We just did it. This is my favorite podcast of all time.
Oh,
I just want to tell you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Could I say it was my favorite podcast of all time? I have a much smaller domain of podcast comparisons. So
we did. This is like number 900 and what? What is it? 958. I think you touched on some things that made me think in a very unique way today. So thank you very much for that. I'm going to listen to this one a couple of times.
Well, thank you very much, for both occasions. I mean, you provided a tremendous boost to my presence. So whatever comes of that is to be blamed partly on you.
All righty.
All right.
Thanks, brother.
You bet.
Really appreciate it.
Really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Jordan Peterson, ladies and gentlemen. See you tomorrow.